I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
You know what? The reason why this case is so important is because it's not because he's famous or he's rich. It's because you have a woman saying one thing many years later, but her text messages and her actions say something else. And we're watching in real time while the public and many people on the internet are saying that women can make decisions for themselves. And women, whether they're sober or not, are not smart enough to consent to doing anything. They're saying now that it doesn't matter that after Diddy allegedly raped her, that she sent him a text message with a heart emoji and that she was asking him about other girls, basically still pretending that she's jealous. She sent him a message right after the alleged incident, didn't mention anything about being in pain, being hurt, didn't go to law enforcement, nothing negative at all. Basically saying that they had a good night together. She actually said, we had a good time. And then her behavior, she continued to see him and they were continuing to sneak behind her now husband's back. And she was still cheating and having sex. You see this, I wear this hat because this is my thinking hat, right? Everyone should be putting on a MAGA hat so they can think clearly about things and remove emotions. That's a left-wing thing when you're just emotional and you're basing things off of feelings and you're ignoring facts. Now, the testimony from the cross-examination today was extensive, but they're now questioning everything she says. Now, we're going to go through these text messages between them, but let me just say this up front. As of right now, I don't see any trafficking. I don't see any racketeering. I don't see any conspiracy to transport to engage in prostitution. Remember, we're talking about adults. People keep talking about Cassie like back then she was 8 years old. Cassie was in her early 20s back then. She's almost 40 now. So Cassie has officially hit the wall. And guess what? When her current husband now divorces her later this year, it's not because, listen, he set all this up from the beginning. He's divorcing her because he wants half of that settlement. He's going to get it. She didn't need to testify, and she shouldn't have testified. I'm 100% certain Alex Fine pushed her to testify. Because what Alex Fine is going to do is he's going to use her testimony against Combs, admitting to being a drug abuser, a sex addict, and a person of just full of debauchery. Because you got to understand, people want to pretend that certain types of women do not exist. They want to pretend right now during this trial that women with extremely high sex drives, women that are overly kinky, and they have a man who is older, but he loves you. They pretend that women cannot coerce men into doing things that they do not want to do also. I'm watching this case just like everyone else. I came into this case assuming Diddy was gay and that they're doing freak-offs where they're bringing men over there and he's raping men, women, children, pets, miscellaneous. I'm thinking he's just a real big freak, right? I'm literally dead wrong. How many days into this trial are we? And I was completely wrong about this. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy Combs, I apologize. When I'm listening to her give her testimony that she's in one room with the man finishes in her, then she scoops it out, goes into another room where Diddy is just laying there in the bed, and she's now rubbing it on his chest. In what world does that show that Diddy is coordinating everything and doing everything? It shows that Diddy was letting it happen in the other room because maybe he's insecure and he didn't want her to go behind his back and continue to cheat on him, which she was doing with Kid Cudi and Drake and all these other men in the industry who are pretty much laughing at him behind his back. I'm thinking if Diddy is gay and there's a freak off with a bunch of gay men, then obviously if you want semen on your chest as Diddy, now you got to excuse me if this is vulgar, but let's be adults here. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video. We're going to have real conversations. I was watching this other guy go over the trial, and he said, yeah, Cassie admitted that, afterwards she texted him a heart and she said we had a good time, but maybe she says damage because for 10 years he's been raped. If you don't shut the fuck, what are you talking about? 10 years, the woman has a car, she has her own bank account, they don't live together, she has her phone, she could call police, she could not go, she could go get a job, she could go work, she could go do something else. He's not attached to her. They're in different countries sometimes. They go to events together. This is essentially his wife. And you want to pretend that she's been getting raped for 10 years straight? And that's the reason why I make videos. I cannot listen to a lot of people. They lie. They project. I believe women and men are equal. I believe women have agency. Women can vote. Women can drive. Women can choose to do with their bodies what they want to do. That's the entire premise of her body, her choice. But if you want to come to me now when it's convenient, when it's a rich rapper or when it's a politician or when it's my president, and tell me that, oh, actually, women can't decide for themselves. They're all victims. And every time there's any sex between an adult man and an adult woman, the man is coercing her, forcing her, and she doesn't. They were telling me the same things about my president and Stormy Daniels. Even after Stormy Daniels said nothing happened. You know what they were telling me back then? Well, even though she said nothing happened, she's probably just so destroyed mentally from the damage that he did to her that she can't even remember and she can't decide. She's like 50, 80 years old. They said the same thing about Eugene Carroll when she made up an allegation against Trump. They pretend that women can't choose to go do things. They pretend that women hate sex. Women never get horny. They don't have sex organs. They can't feel pleasure. And everything is about the man. Until it's not. You think that's not abuse on the man? What if you're in love with the woman and she's done some things that are your fantasies and you're now public figures together, so you can't just break up because you want to show that you're stable and that you're the man and you're in control of your relationship and you have a successful relationship. You probably talk down on other people that have went through breakups. But then the woman comes to you and she says, I actually have some fantasies of my own. And you're thinking, okay, sweet. How many more girls do you want me to bring? She's like, girls. Girls are that's child's play. No. The fun starts when you bring 5 or 6 of your buddies over here. I hate to say it, but I'll admit it. I've been in that situation before. I had a girlfriend, beautiful, out of this world knockout. Loved her so much. I wanted to kill myself. Actually, when me and her broke up, I wanted to self-delete. I thought I was going to die. You were in these relationships when you're in love and you're like, without this person, I can't breathe. I don't want to wake up tomorrow. And you're considering taking a bunch of pills. Then you start thinking, I don't know, death might hurt. I don't know what's going to happen on the side. I do pray, but what if it sucks over there and I'm just going through breakup after I die? And then you say, okay, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, she and I like girls who like girls, so she obliged sometimes. She's like, okay, cool, we can deal with other girls. But then when it came time, she was like, well, I have a fantasy too. She was like, let's go to Jamaica. I said, we're in California at the time. I'm like, why don't we go to Jamaica? Let's go to Mexico. Let's go to Cabo. Let's go. She's like, no. There's something that I want you to look up on the internet. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm into. That's my fantasy. And I'm like, well, she said it's called hedonism. Hedonism. I'll give you an example of the kind of girlfriend that I used to have, which is the same kind of woman that Cassie is, which is actually the same type of woman that's actually in this video. I'm going to give you an example of what Diddy was dealing with.
Trust me, bring about 4 others because that's a fantasy.
She said, bring 4 others. That's a fantasy. Now, this woman is with her husband. And listen to what she says. He said, what's your fantasy? And she said, my fantasy is watching him get all upset. Make him be a cuckold.
You like to make him be a cuckold?
make him suck a dick.
At least 4 or 5 last night.
At least 4 or 5.
That's cool.
The husband is standing there. You think this is uncommon? You think this is a game? Women are men. Women have fantasies. For the longest time, women suppress their sexuality because they're in fear of being judged. But we're in the sexual revolution and liberation of women. Women now will come out and tell you, I don't like other women, but I'll do a gangbang. I'll do 3 or 4 guys. It's not even a train no more. It's actually women will make up these different excuses. So imagine being Diddy and the woman you love comes to you and tells you that's her fantasy. We all know women very well. Women do what they want to do. There's 2 ways women are going to do what they want to do. It's going to be with you or without you. I would rather it be with me. So at the time, you know what I did? I said, you know what? That's cool. I didn't let her see it in my face that I was disgusted and I was horrified. And I was like, yeah, no problem. You know, I got a couple of friends that have girlfriends. Maybe we can just, you know, figure it out and switch off or whatever. But she was like, yeah, 3 or 4 is for fun. But she was like, I want 10. And she's like, let's go to Jamaica. And that's where they do this thing where it's like this, where women go down there on girls' trips. And it's called hedonism. From watching this trial, looking at all the different men Cassie had been dealing with over the years, she does have a sex problem. I thought it was Diddy that had the sex problem. It's the women. Because if Diddy would have said, yeah, there's just 100 naked women running around at all times, I'm throwing baby oil on everybody, that's one thing. They said he had a pool of baby oil in the room just for Cassie. And actually, Cassie, and in the testimony from today, Cassie actually brings up that she suggested to him to bring in another woman. He didn't want to. He's doing this for her. He's doing this because he doesn't want to lose his girlfriend. And then this is the most frustrating thing. Imagine being Diddy. You don't want your girlfriend to cheat to the point where you're like, you know, I don't want her to go behind my back. Let me do this. I'll find some porn stars with bigger penises than me, probably buffer than me. I'm gonna hire them so that she can have her fantasies come true and she doesn't have to cheat on me and doesn't have to sneak behind my back to get off. Because, you know, in a relationship, when men care about you, they don't want you to do it without them. Just like a man who really loves his wife, he might say, you know, men will sneak and go cheat and they'll come home. They'll pay for some vagina and come home. But some men like myself will say, look, I don't want to cheat. Let's just do it together. Let's me and you go get another girlfriend. But when your woman wants another boyfriend, like I said, when she's telling the story of how rubbing the semen on his chest, and I'm thinking to myself, if Diddy's gay and he's organizing all of this, why aren't the guys just all in there standing around Diddy and just shooting all over him? He's in the other room. She goes into the other room by herself alone with Diddy. Nobody else is in there. These were not Diddy's events. These were for Cassie. Again, she has an appetite. He knew she was going to eat either way, so he decided to put this together. I was in that situation before. I was literally seeing which one of my guy friends, and I had a couple of friends that had girlfriends, and we could switch. This is back in LA, this is years ago. And I was literally catching myself in there, but it wasn't enough. She still wanted to go to Jamaica. I said, God, even after that, you want to still go to Jamaica and do the hedonism? She said, yes, that's her fantasy. That's what she wants to do. She was going to do it with me or she was going to do it behind my back, and then we were going to break up anyway. I try to facilitate it. It looks from watching this trial, it looks like she turned Diddy out. If you think about it, he's the victim. He's the older man. What they were saying, Diddy was not, he's not 100 years old. His penis isn't working. Why? During the time of these freak-offs, he's in his 40s. Healthy. No ED claims. She never claimed his penis didn't work for her, but magically, when there's a bunch of men in the room, he just wants to lay in the other bed and jack off, but his penis isn't working because he's turned off. Because this was not about Diddy. This was about Cassie. He's letting these men have sex with her so that she doesn't run behind his back and screw his celebrity friends. And this is the part where I can see where he lost his temper and wanted to kick some ass. Even after putting together orgy freak-offs for Cassie to keep her sexually happy, the chick still went and fucking cheated. She still went and had sex with other men from the music industry behind his back. Famously, Kid Cudi. I remember when they said Diddy hauled off and punched Drake. I'm thinking it was over a song where they said Drake took the beat from a song he was going to do with Diddy. Then Drake put his own verse on it and released it behind Diddy's back. And I'm thinking, Diddy's not necessarily a rapper. Why would he care? But that was the narrative. Now, because of the trial, it turns out it's because Cassie flew to the 66666 and Drake was smashing her. Diddy found out. That's why they thought. Are none of us human anymore? None of us. If you're listening to my voice right now, are you telling me you've never caught somebody that you were with cheating? And when you caught them cheating, you didn't say to yourself, I'll beat the shit out of your other man. If you're a woman, you never said, I'd beat that bitch up. Something's going to happen if I see that person. Because guess what? You're not blaming the person you're with. You're blaming the person they cheated with. You're removing the responsibility from your significant other that owes you loyalty to the person that you're not even dealing with. That's what humans do. That's a natural thing in relationships. People get mad when they get cheated on. Why are we pretending that Puffy is some kind of anomaly? I'm not even a Diddy fan. I didn't care for the guy before the trial. But what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I'm watching the testimony. Now, so look, you don't want to believe me, right? Okay, let's talk to the ChatGPT. This is the AI. I asked the AI to write, to go over some bullet points for me. But then I said, I want you to extract I want you to go over the rape case from the Diddy trial from today. The ChatGPT says, during today's proceedings, Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial, Cassie Ventura testified that in 2018 incident where she alleges Combs raped her, she described that after dinner for closure, Combs dropped her off at her home, then allegedly assaulted her on the living room floor. Ventura recounted crying and saying no during the incident, stating that it happened very quickly and Combs didn't seem like himself. The defense, under cross-examination, presented text messages, actual text from right after, between Ventura and Combs following the assault, highlighting that Ventura did not mention the grape in any of the communications. In one exchange, Ventura expressed concern about Combs potentially having a new romantic interest. Now, at this time in 2018, she's with Diddy's former employee, the personal trainer, Alex Fine. And last time I checked, most people hate their bosses. In my opinion, this is all Alex Fine put together. I wanted to believe it was the DNC, Barack Obama. I'm pretty sure he does have some freak-off tapes with the DNC, but I think a lot of this is having to do with his former employee, who's a personal trainer, seeing that he had an opportunity to shine, and this was his one time to blow. He had one shot to become a millionaire. One shot, and he took it. He took Cassie, he married her, he got her pregnant, and he convinced her to sue Diddy. He wants half of what's remaining after lawyer fees. They got $20 million. The lawyers took, let's say, roughly 6.5. So they got 12, 13 million. If he divorces her this year, 13 million and a half, he'll be worth 6.5 million. Now, the beauty of him convincing Cassie to unnecessarily testify against Combs, who already settled her out of case, and breach their NDA, which is completely unethical in my opinion. None of this should even be happening if you settled with her and she signed an NDA afterwards. But I digress. He was able, the reason she's up there testifying is because Cassie is a girl. She's a girl. She's a girl's girl. She's not the brains. She's somebody's woman. She does what a man she's with wants her to do. She's probably a people pleaser. Right now, her husband has convinced her that the man she loved and that took care of her for over 10 years is now her enemy. He's making her testify, not because he wants Diddy necessarily to go to jail, but because her testimony will be used later this year in their divorce proceedings, because her admitting to being, abusing drugs and also being addicted to sex, he will be able to petition for full custody of the children. Now, if you're a woman who's a former singer and you're in California, which her husband conveniently moved them to California to get married, in the state of California, if you're going through a divorce and somebody's worth millions of dollars, you're looking at upwards of $30,000 plus per month in child support for 3 children. I know this because I remember Kevin Federline. I remember when Halle Berry got her divorce, how much money these women are having to pay these men in child support because of where they're geographically located. Alex Fine will be able to he'll be a millionaire. He's already a millionaire now, but he'll be an individual millionaire as soon as he gets a divorce. And then that 30 to 40,000 a month in child support that's going to come in, alimony, child support, that will cover all of his lifestyle expenses, and he won't have to spend that money that he has in the bank from this settlement that he got when they separated in the divorce. So this was a beautiful play on Alex Stein's end. He will be able to now this is a personal trainer. An average personal trainer probably makes about $4,000 a month. So with $6 million in the bank and $40,000 a month income, I'm pretty sure he can figure out how to stretch that out long term. I'm pretty sure he has some good plays lined up. In my opinion, the only person that's going to benefit from this is Alex Fine. Cassie is burnt. Who is now, after her divorce, which is pending, after Cassie's divorce, who's going to want to hold her hand, take her to meet his mother, unless his mother is from another country and doesn't watch TV in American English? Who's going to want to hold her hand and kiss her, knowing that she was a human toilet by her own admission? These men are saying that Cassie contacted us directly on Craigslist, on Backpage. There's another website that she was a fan of, not Diddy, her, called Angels for Cowboys. She was literally booking the men like a buffet. It was for her. Diddy just paid for it because he could not afford to let his number one chick go behind his back and embarrass him the way Rick Ross's baby mom did when she started having sex with 50 Cent, or how these other rappers, or Biggie Smalls when Tupac started dating Faith Evans behind his back. That'll destroy your career, destroy your name, and destroy your image. Diddy was like, instead of you going out here and cheating on me, I will pay these men to come for you. I will put it together for you. That way I can be there. And it's kind of like, but obviously from reading her own testimony, he's not in there putting baby oil. I'm thinking he's going to be in there. There's going to be men with Cowboys hats on, wearing the chaps with the ass out. And Diddy's just rubbing all types of Johnson & Johnson and Alavi, just baby oil on these men's asses and stuff. Not thinking, I'm not, no homo, no pause. I'm not saying me personally. I'm thinking, I'm trying to picture what I would assume she would be saying, right? Because that's what I've been reading on the internet. He's just like this big flaming homo, and he's, and he has Cassie out here doing this and this. No. These men are saying that actually I was by myself with Cassie. Me and these other guys were alone with her. Diddy was in the other room, and she asked me to urinate in her mouth. Not where Diddy came there with a shotgun and said, "Open your mouth, bitch, and you start pissing." Like in the movie Heat, Val Kilmer comes in. And none of that happened. Cassie looked this man in the face and said, I want you to pee. He testified that she specifically asked him, how is that Diddy trafficking you? How is that Diddy transporting you for prostitution? How is that racketeering? How is this a RICO case? So you're telling me he was taking her around the world and selling her to Saudi princes, and he used the money to buy mixtapes, and then he printed them, and he started Bad Boy Records using the proceeds from her being sex trafficked? Because that's what racketeering would mean. Or did we just all project that and make that up in our minds, even though that's not even remotely what happened? I've been in this situation before. I could not tell my ex-girlfriend no because she would literally go and do it with somebody else. She said, well, I didn't tell him no because he would go get another girlfriend. Okay, that's how relationships work. What you're not willing to do, there's 100 more people that are more than willing to do it in your stead. Think about it. Can Diddy take Cassie to court and say, hey, I want her arrested? Why, Diddy? Well, I spent a lot of money on her in our relationship, and I felt like she coerced me and she forced me to do it out of fear. Fear that if I don't give her this money, she's going to go to another man and he's going to give it to her, and I didn't want to lose her. So can she get arrested for that? And then she's charged? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's what people do in relationships. They go out of their way to try to make their partner happy. That's not a crime. That's a normal dynamic. I don't understand what Lego world do people think we live in. People are trying to project this perfect world, and they're trying to see how these people can fit in there when none of us fit in there anymore. Unless you were married back in the year 1950 or before, none of our relationships have been typical since then. There's all kinds of think about it. Porn is legal. Porn on a girl is flown to Florida for Bang Bros or Bang Bus on her 18th birthday every single day. And then there's men that are 50, 60, 70, hairy as hell surrounding her. Don't ask how I know, but those videos are perfectly legal. But it's illegal when you're a rapper or you're a president or you're a politician or you're a football player and you're filming women who are doing sex stuff that they want to do. It's forced when it's a famous celebrity or a famous politician, but it's not forced when it's some random old men on some porn website. Like, if we're gonna be consistent, then if we're gonna say debauchery is illegal across the board, then let's fucking say it. If nudity is gonna be illegal, then just say, hey, no more nudity, no more sex, no more porn. No, you can only have missionary sex. If you're caught giving back shots, if you're caught doing oral, you're straight to jail. Because if we're going to start being concerned with people's personal love lives and sex lives, well, then we're on a slippery slope. Because we're going to stay disappointed. We're going to stay fucking angry, and we're going to stay surprised, even though we have the same stuff going on in our personal lives, if we're lucky. There's a lot of incels running around. There's a lot of people who are secretly gay and they're not getting much play. Those people, you can't put them people on a jury and expect them to judge you correctly. They don't live the same kind of lifestyle as you. Like, I just showed you a video of a woman talking about how she does her husband.
I'm not gonna take your girl, bro.
Look at this guy. Big, strong guy, got his shades on. Does he look gay to you? No, and he's not. But guess what he's doing to keep his wife from leaving him and cheating with another man? He's allowing her to recruit 4 or 5 other men, and then she gets him to do things to them. She likes to see him frustrated and flustered. This man is Diddy. This man is going through what Diddy went through for 10 years. Never has Diddy met a woman that told him, you know what? I want you so bad, call another guy. They always say, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. Matter of fact, call another girl. And it's always more women for men. He comes across Cassie. Her fantasy is a bunch of other men. And I'm not hearing any testimony about her even kissing another girl. So it's not all about Diddy. Because if Diddy's not gay, then you want multiple women. But instead, he's going out of his way to have multiple men there for her. His penis isn't even working. So he's going in the other room so that he's just facilitating the whole thing. And he's only there because he doesn't want her having sex with these men behind his back. He wants to know. You mean to tell me you've never been with somebody and said, just don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. Did you have sex with him? Did you sleep with her? How do you know her? You guys work together. Okay, cool. And you guys have never went out after work. She doesn't know what your house looked like. She never came over. You've never grilled somebody you're in a relationship with. And at the end of it, you're like, why are you lying? Just tell me the truth. Matter of fact, I want to be there. You've never wanted to know what they were doing behind your back. Well, Diddy did. And he said, you know what? I'll be in the room. You guys go in there. Oh yeah, and they're like, yeah, Sean would come in there, and I would be having sex with Cassie, and then I would fit in. I'm okay. Well, when did you smash him? Oh, I didn't actually smash him, but he was there. He's not 90 years old with erectile dysfunction and penis doesn't work because he has diabetes. There's nothing saying he's in poor health. Because that's when this kind of stuff happens sometimes when men have a addiction to certain drugs like coke or whatever. They become flaccid, right? So in your stead, yeah, you'll have other guys probably mess with your wife because no matter how much of that stuff she does, she doesn't have to. She can be flaccid. She's a woman. She can just pour some baby oil on it and it's going to work. But for men, it's more tedious and it is harder on our bodies to maintain erections and to be excited and turned on, especially if you're not gay. Now, if Diddy was gay and there's 5 naked men running around the hotel room, then he's walking around with a raging boner too. But all the accounts and all these stories, and this is 10 years. You know how long 10 years is? 10 years is a long goddamn time. They're remembering and reminiscing about all this, and you're hearing all these salacious, a little nasty, little freaky stories. At no time are they talking about Diddy coming in there and just laying dick on men, women. All these stories are basically talking about how he's in the other room or he's basically trying to get himself up, but he can't because, well, there's a bunch of other men in the room. And this is his first time ever actually being in a situation where he has to perform in front of an audience or in front of men. He's not a porn star. He's a movie producer that's just kind of flamboyant. I mean, this is obviously not about him. This is about her. And in a way, he's a victim. Love will make you do crazy things. I did it. I went through this before. So that's how I can look at what Diddy's going through. And this poor guy right here. Look at his wife. Listen to what she says.
Trust me, bring about or others because that's a fantasy.
What's your fantasy?
What you need to know, make him be a
You like to make him be a you make him.
yes, at least 4 or 5 last night. Oh.
That's cool.
Now, this guy, the black kid, he's basically one of the people in the jury booth. He's never heard nothing like that. And I'll be honest with you, I've only heard it a few times. But these women exist. And God forbid you fall in love with one of them, because women who are like this, who have that high sex drive and they can manipulate. You think men manipulate women into being with other women. You've never come across a woman that's so beautiful that she can manipulate a man into literally sharing her with other men and possibly doing something to these other men. You've never done it, but those women exist. And by the and by the amount of men Cassie was dealing with while she was married, while she was with Diddy, she's cheating on both of these men. She's cheating on Kid Cudi. She's cheating on everyone she's ever been with. Even the first guy that actually brought her into the industry. Well, I think his name was Rory. What was that guy's name? The first guy. Let's see here. Cassie's first boyfriend that was producer. Yeah, this guy. Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie. He's the guy that actually introduced her. He introduced us to her. Yeah, I believe that was him. Let's see here. Yeah. They were together from 2004 to 2007. She actually was cheating on him too. What this means is that there's a such thing as women with extremely high sex drives. And when you come across one of them, it's intimidating as a man. You don't know what to do. So anyway, let's go back to the testimony from today. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, so in her text to Diddy, did she mention being raped or assaulted? Did she say she enjoyed herself or anything? Read me just the text between Cassie and Diddy from right after the alleged rape. So I had ChatGPT scan all the articles on the internet to break this down, because it's going to take a lot of time for me to read through all the conjecture, because what they want to do is they want to dilute the jury's brains with useless, nonsensical information that does not have anything to do with racketeering, sex trafficking, or transportation for prostitution, which are his only charges. People keep telling me, oh, but Rico, there's superseding allegations. There's all these other indictments. I don't give a fuck what there is. It's not like tomorrow they can say, hey, guys, we got 5 new charges. We're going to just add them on there. And every day they can just keep bringing new charges until something finally sticks. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. He's in court for what he's in court for, and that's it. The charges are racketeering, transportation for prostitution, and sex trafficking. So a lot of the other stuff has nothing to do with any of those things, but they keep bringing them up because they want to dilute the jury and kind of paint this picture like he's this evil guy. But every day that this trial goes on, if the public out here in the world is saying to themselves, this guy seems more like he's the victim, and Cassie actually was into all of this, and she was the one meeting the men. Diddy was just the one giving them money not to tell nobody that this is what he's doing, because he never, I mean, as braggadocious as this guy is, he never once told us that he goes out of his way to give his woman whatever she wants, and that's even sexually too. But what happens when she wants more than you and you're just not enough? You know, embarrassingly, yesterday they described the man's penis. Like, who fucking, what is how my penis look have to do with racketeering, trafficking, sex, and transporting for prostitution? Why are they bringing up, oh, this other girl said he had a Twizzler dick? A Twizzler dick. Like, why are you guys just so interested in embarrassing this man? What does him having 55 gallons of baby oil in his house, how does that show sex trafficking, racketeering, or transportation for prostitution? What does it, is there a limit? Is there another charge that we don't know about, saying that he had excessive amounts of an oil-based lubricant, which is a misdemeanor in the first degree, which could be raised up to a felony if it's in furtherance of another crime, the way they did Trump? No. No, that's not what he's being charged with. But I digress. But let's continue. So I asked the ChatGPT about her text messages from after the night of the alleged rape, and ChatGPT said this verbatim to me: during today's proceedings in Sean Diddy's federal trial, Cassie Ventura was cross-examined about her communication with Combs following the alleged 2018 rape. The defense highlighted that Ventura continued to interact with Combs after the incident, including sending a text message that read, "Hit me when you can," heart emoji. That was her first message to him after they had sex. This is the kicker. She was in another relationship already with his employee, Alex Fine. Alex Fine has been working for him for years. So you mean to tell me you didn't know anything about the sex stuff or all the freaky stuff or whatever? Alex Fine knew. That's why it was so funny when he pretended that he's so upset and he walked out of the courtroom. Bro, you knew all this. She's already told you all these stories. You know, that's what men do. Alex Fine been cross-examined Cassie. He knows everything. And he told her he needed to know all that before he could marry her, and she did that. She told him. So he's just playing a role because he's going to divorce her. That for you guys might not think 30, 40,000 a month in alimony is a lot of money, but it is. It only sounds like a little bit of money because I say it quickly, but that is more money than 99% of the people in the country make per month. Nobody's really making 40,000 a month. Okay, everybody's not doing that. That's a lot of money, especially coming from making 4,000 a month as a personal trainer. Additionally, Ventura acknowledged she engaged in consensual sex with Combs after the alleged assault. How did I start off this broadcast? I said that her words in the text message and her actions show something completely different than what she's testifying now 10 years later, when she's hit the wall at pretty much 40 years old and she's not necessarily as desirable anymore. Once you hit that wall, you're no longer the same woman. Her agency, where she's able to demand money and get resources from men based on her beauty, Those days are over. She's now a mom of 2, about to have a third one. No one is like, man, that's a really beautiful mom of 3. Let me go ahead and give her some money. That's not how it happens. What you would do is just find somebody who looks like Cassie that has 0 kids and that is probably 10 years younger, and you'll date her. She's 40 now. Now she's desperate, and she was already saying Diddy probably has a new younger chick, and she's jealous of that. That's why she was asking him about his new love interest. But why are you asking about my new love interest? Don't you got a new boyfriend, my old personal trainer, who literally lined up Diddy and started this whole spiral of bullshit just to get money out of him? There's no case here. Now, if you want to make a case for domestic violence, yeah, but even that was 10 years ago, 2015. We've been outside the statute of limitations for a domestic violence charge for years, over 4 years now. It's only, 6 years, maybe 7? That's it. So I said, extract the parts of the text that she sent Diddy and show me. Here are the key excerpts of the text from Cassie Ventura allegedly sent to Diddy after the night she now claims was rape, based on today's trial coverage and cross-examination. Thank you, ChatGPT, for breaking this down for me. Cassie's messages to Diddy after the alleged rape. Hit me when you can. Heart emoji. So he comes over your house. You guys have, she said it was a great night. They had sex. And then the first message after him, shortly after he leaves, hit me when you can. Heart emoji. You know, for men, that's when we say, let me know when you make it home. Heart emoji. If I send you home in an Uber, or if you drove yourself to my house and you leave, before I go to sleep, which I am going to sleep, I'm going to send you a text that says, hit me when you get home. Heart. That does not show somebody who was traumatized, brutalized, assaulted, hurt in any way. Also, she messaged after that, she expressed concern about whether Diddy was seeing someone new. She knows he's met somebody who's younger, somebody new, and she's going to now get access to his resources, and he might not need Cassie anymore, especially since she's already moved on and has a new boyfriend now. Why would I be dealing with you when you got a new man? You don't need me no more, right? And you're dating one of my firm employees. You're sleeping with the help. But I mean, it could have been worse. She could have started sleeping with who's an enemy of Diddy in the industry, like pretty much everybody. So she could have been doing that. So she did do him a favor. Never did she mention being raped or assaulted in the text messages. She said, actually, I need to stop even caring if you're with somebody else. This is 10 years. This is them dealing with each other for 10 years. And this is how she talks. And like a regular woman who's jealous, who's bitter after she knows you're seeing somebody else, yet you're still sleeping with her on the side, even though she has a new man. I've been in that situation so many times. I have a new girlfriend. My ex has a new boyfriend, but we're still messing around and cheating on other people with each other. And we know we shouldn't be. And we say goofy shit like this to each other. I don't need to care about who you're dealing with. You're not my girlfriend no more. And I'm choosing my sanity over everything. Dealing with you still while I have a new relationship is driving me crazy. I understand. So let's see what ChatGPT discerned from all of this. These texts are not consistent with someone who was just raped, according to the defense's line of questioning. No mention of rape, trauma, or any objection to what happened was present in the message. Instead, her tone was casual, affectionate, and reflective, suggesting emotional entanglement, not fear or victimhood. Bacon, relax, Bacon. Sorry, it's my dog. He thought somebody's at my door. Bacon. I keep forgetting they're over there asleep. So this is what the AI that we're all using nowadays, the computer. This is what the computer says about Cassie's testimony from today. The texts are not consistent with somebody who was just raped, according to the defense line of questioning. Now, the AI, the computer doesn't have emotions. The AI doesn't have feelings. The AI doesn't care if you're black, if you're white, if you're Latino. There's no normalcy bias. I can say that the AIs are wrong sometimes. Yesterday it said, yeah, Biden is president. I said, no, it's not AI. It said, I apologize. You're right. Biden is no longer president. It makes mistakes like that. But this is what happens when you remove emotion and you focus on the facts and the logic behind a situation. Instead, her tone was casual, affectionate, and reflective, suggesting emotional entanglement, not fear or victimhood. No mention of rape, trauma, or any other objection to what has happened or what was present. Which objection to what happened was present in the messages. Why not? Why aren't you telling him, hey, we saw the Shannon Sharp case, and you can tell the woman was coached on what to say, but she told Shannon no means no, but yet she still went to go keep having sex with him, keep going to his room, begging to see him. Why would you beg to see somebody who victimized you? Unless they just didn't victimize you and you're making that up after the fact. It's a shame that we have to tell people that regrettable sex is not rape. You consent to having sex with somebody on Tuesday. On Thursday, you're at a grocery store and you see the person you were with their other significant other that they told you they were breaking up with. And you feel betrayed and slighted. You can't retroactively say, you know what, because on Tuesday, they told me they were leaving this person alone. That's the reason why I consented, is because they lied to me. So technically, they manipulated me and they actually raped me because I wouldn't have consented had I known that they really were going to get back with their ex. That's not how it works. And we cannot allow that to even pretend to be how it works. We can't even allow that to stand at all. We're already in this country, our marriage rates are plummeted. Our divorce rates are sky high. Our birth rates are so far past the level of replacement that a lot of our universities in 5 years will not have a class of freshmen to keep the college even open. That's how bad it is in this country, where men will rather be celibate or be incels, involuntary celibate. That's what incel means. Rather than risk getting a woman pregnant in this American culture, because she can sue you and claim victimhood for the rest of her life and then make you pay for child support. And if you have a job, she can keep taking you to court and then even make it so that you can't see your kid. And the state will protect her. You can get divorced with no fault. There's something called a no-fault divorce. And you'll have to split up your assets that she didn't pay for, but she was in a relationship with you while you were accumulating such assets. Men are now saying, hey, I'm not marrying these women no more, and I'm using a condom. I'm not getting them pregnant. Women have been surviving since the beginning of recorded human history off of the sympathy and generosity of men. Men typically feel sorry for women because we see them as smaller, we see them as weaker, we see them as being nurturing and caring. Over the past 30 years, it's been pushed on us that women are men. Women are not just nurturers. Women actually are strong. They're independent. They can do things. So okay, you can vote. You can drive. You can work. I don't have to take care of you no more. But that's not going to work when a lot of women have been surviving for generations off of getting a man to marry them and being able to extract resources via a marriage contract, which is a bad contract for a man, or through having multiple children by him, and then she's able to get resources from him that way. But in lieu of you getting her pregnant or marrying her, women have no choice anymore except to accuse you of abuse so that they can potentially get access to your resources. Cassie could not get a child from Diddy. She did bring it up to him. Cassie could not get Diddy to marry her. So just like the rest, look at Shannon Sharp. He didn't marry the 19-year-old. And guess what the white 19-year-old, when she realized he wasn't going to marry her, guess what she asked him for? A big-ass black baby. A big black-ass baby. Just a baby with a black ass. Because how else are you going to extract resources from him? And when he wanted to put on a condom now and he doesn't want to have sex with you no more, well, you have no choice now but to accuse him of abuse. We're watching a consistent pattern of behavior now in the United States from women. There's only 3 ways this is going to go. There is no 4th. There's no 5th. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. You get him to sign a contract with you for marriage. If he won't marry you, you got to figure out a way to get pregnant. If you can't get pregnant in time, you have to accuse him of abuse. Look at DDG. Academics had called it out too. He said, hey, eventually she's going to come after you and say you abused her because you don't have to pay her child support because she has her own money and you guys are splitting custody. But if she accuses you of assault or she accuses you of abuse, she'll get full custody and then you'd have to pay child support. So those are the resources she wants from you. So she has to accuse you of abuse to get you to lose custody of your child. She has to accuse you of abuse. You're going to see. Now, listen, follow me, like and subscribe, share my page. Follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to build up my following. If you're following me on X, the link is in my bio. Right Wing Rico, because again, I wear a red MAGA hat when I do my show, because you're going to hear my opinion about everything you see in the news from a right wing perspective, a right wing America's first perspective. I don't really have any liberal anything. I don't believe in free healthcare. I don't believe in free education. I don't believe in free shit. I don't think free works. People take advantage of free stuff and they don't appreciate it. People only appreciate things that they pay for or that have, because that's when it has intrinsic value. So if you like my content, if you want to hear more about what I think about all these different subjects, talk to me. Send me a comment, but follow me on these pages. I'm still building them up. But I go over this with people all the time, and I show people example after example. Diddy is this week. Shannon Sharp was 2 weeks ago. DDG is this week. Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. It's a lot of black stuff going on in this country right now. It's a lot of stuff going on with the blacks, but it happens to everybody. A lot of men get embarrassed and they want to keep it out of the public eye, so they just accept the extortion and they pay for it. But when a man fights back, you got to understand that you're risking. Diddy, when he didn't want to pay for this, because, remember, she sued him in November 2023, I believe. Initially, he said no. But then when she said, I'm going to go public about the abuse, just the allegations alone, look what it spiraled into. They start off as civil, but remember, to get the money from you in a civil case, she has to accuse you of something abusive, which is illegal. Now it's a criminal case. There's no evidence, and you really didn't do anything criminal against her. But if that's what it's going to take to get the money out of him, well, then so be it. I will do what I have to do. I'll say what I have to say. There's no consequences if you're caught lying, if you're a woman. There's a woman, actually a black woman. There's a rapper in Atlanta, a young Scooter. I used to listen to him years ago. And a black woman was not invited to a party that he was having with his friends at his house because I guess they had broke up. So she called the police and sat on the phone with them for 10 minutes talking about how there's all these guys at this house selling dope and they got underage girls in there and they're actually beating this underage girl in front of the house right now. I need police. I need SWAT team. They have guns. They have crack. And they're beating up this underage girl. She's naked in the front yard. They're dragging her through the yard. Right now, I'm neighborhood watch. I'm watching. Okay, ma'am, did you go outside and say anything? No, I didn't go outside. She's the police. When you call 911, they can't tell that you're not anywhere near the place that you're calling about. This woman was in a whole other side of town, or she might have been in a different city. But she's literally calling 911 to report what was going on at someone else's house. And she was lying. The police show up. It's a lot of black guys in there. They don't know what they're there for. So you know what he did? He ran because the police came, and it's something called swatting. A lot of people are killed from SWATs. I remember, I play video games. I play Fortnite. I play PS5. I have game systems and gamer. And there was another gamer. These two gamers that got into it. One guy was able to track a person's IP address, and he called the police, and he said there was a hostage situation where one person was shot. Send the SWAT team. That's why they call it swatting. And when the police showed up and they knocked on the door, the guy had his headset on, holding his controller. He opens the door like, "Can I help you?" And law enforcement, somebody was anxious, and they shot him dead. It's called swatting. It happens every day. So this black woman swatted young Scooter. She couldn't get a child out of him. She couldn't get him to marry her. So she had to accuse him of being violent, aggressive, committing a crime, hoping that he would eventually take her back or, let her come over there. But some people are just vengeful. They're just mad. When you go through these breakups and somebody sees you, they don't feel like they got enough out of you, they'll say anything about you, even when there's no proof. So this case, the reason this case is important is because we're going to see what happens when there's no proof against you. Now, in these text messages, Cassie had said something like, "You hurt me, you brutalized me. Why did you do that? You took it from me. I'm going to go to the police." If she would have said anything like that, the only reason why people are saying stuff about Shannon Sharpe still is because she had made some of those claims in the text. She didn't say it directly, but she was kind of hinting like, "Oh, no means no," and this and this. Okay. But you still went over there to go see him again a week later, and you kept going over there. Why would you go somewhere where somebody's brutalizing you, an old man, if that's not what you're into and you don't like it's because it's a setup. Because the man isn't hurting you. If you're a black dude anyway, you're already assumed to be aggressive and hyper violent. And I'm not saying that there are no aggressive and hyper violent YNs or whatever, but a lot of black men, especially, you tend to tiptoe through society. You don't want to end up in certain situations because you already kind of have a chip on your shoulder because of the media, and you assume that everybody hates you anyway and the world hates you. And people, they have a lot of these issues. I have a lot of black male friends and I talk to them and they feel, and they have these strange feelings about the world, which I understand. If that's what's going to do to make you extra cautious, there's no problem. There's nothing wrong with being extra cautious, but you're not going to do anything that's going to get you in trouble, especially when you're dating with a non-black woman. Shannon Sharpe, the woman literally is in a text message to him saying, I want you to get me a dog collar like you're going to take me to get groomed at PetSmart. Then I want you to put a leash on me. And then I want you to choke me. She says this to this man in a text message, and there are still people out here saying Shannon Sharpe should go to jail. Why? She's obviously into role play, rough sex, kinky sex. He's obviously not doing anything to her. She literally asked him to slap me in the face. I like to be slapped. I want you to smack me. Then later, he slapped me. When did we lose common sense? When did just anything goes? When did we stop being honest with ourselves about the fact that everybody's not a victim, especially consenting adults? 19 is a grown-ass adult. You can go to the military. You can die fighting for this country. You're an adult. You're an adult. And I don't think it's fair that the 19-year-olds can't drink. You might as well. If you can die, then you can drink. If you can legally die for this country, you can drink. If you can go do gangbang porn in Florida for bang bros and bang busts, and then you should be able to fucking drink. I don't understand that disconnect either. You're going to see more. This is, like I said, this is the flavor of the week, but just remember what I said. There's 3 ways that this is going to go in the future with any men. They're going to accuse you. Either if they can't get you to marry them, because in a divorce, she doesn't have to accuse you of shit. She can just say, I want half. You can't even, as a man, you can't even fight in a divorce. You're going to lose your shit regardless. You can't even fight. You're going to lose your stuff. You're going to lose your property. There is no fight. And then in child support, yeah, you're going to get a certain amount. They're going to, depending on what state you're in, they're going to base it off your income. But if a woman doesn't have access to your resources from a kid or from a marriage, she's forced to accuse you of something. And even if you don't have any money, she'll accuse, well, he assaulted me at work. So she'll sue the company. Or actually, I met him at school and he assaulted me at a college party. Now she's going to sue the school. Remember what happened to Brian Banks? Tory Lanez wouldn't get Megan pregnant, and he definitely wasn't going to marry her. So guess what she did? Accused him of shooting her, and she lied about it. But she got paid. So many endorsements, so many deals, Rock Nation promoting her, tours, collaborations. But the public was still saying free Tory because he was railroaded, and we knew it, that he didn't shoot her. Now they're petitioning to let him out of jail because a black woman lied against him on the stand and said that he shot her and he didn't. Now, people are saying, well, why didn't he just say, and why didn't he just come out and say he didn't shoot her and Kelsey shot her, the other girl, her friend who actually shot her? But you got to think about it. It's a weird situation for a man to be in when you are a manly man and you don't want to make it. It's weak when you try to put things on a woman or say something bad. To this day, for example, we still don't know what Chris Brown and Rihanna were really fighting about. We know Rihanna hit him first and they were fighting each other. She just got the short end of the stick. But Chris Brown has never publicly came out and said what the fight was over. That's not how men work. It's very feminine and masculine for you to do that, to say a woman and blame a woman. Oh, and then it's called snitching too. She did it. It just looks bad. And if you're a black American or if you're a black artist, because he's Canadian, but snitching and all that in the culture and in your fan base, a lot of it is based on black culture. You really don't want to be seen as a snitch. You don't want to be seen as telling on somebody. Tekashi 6ix9ine, he's doing music in Spanish now, but even him being snitching on those other guys who were literally trying to kill him and sleeping with his girl, even those allegations follow him into the Spanish world. He has to, while he's being an artist and performing, he still has to overcome that label of being a snitch. In this situation, if Diddy ever has to go up there and testify, I would hope that he isn't necessarily worried about being how embarrassing it is to tell his truth. So that's why I told it for you guys. I've been in that situation. I'm looking at the whole thing just stacked up, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this could happen to any of us. A girl's like, hey, let's go out and let's go do this, let's go do that. But then the next day, if something happens, oh, well, she only said she wanted to go out because the man forced her to want to go out. What the fuck how does that even make sense? She's an adult. She's grown. She can choose to do what she want to do, or she can choose to do what she doesn't want to do. Like, she can choose. And if she chooses to do something, that doesn't make her a victim. To say that she doesn't have autonomy, then look, that women can't vote, women can't drive, women cannot they can't work, they can't make any decisions for themselves. If you're going to say that all women are victims, then you got to take away all their rights. But you can't have rights and then also turn your rights off whenever it's convenient for you. It's just not fair. People are not going to want to have children and get married and be in relationships in this country. People don't even want to date anymore over here. You go to a club in a lot of these big cities, they're empty. Men are like, I don't want to go. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Dealing with these women are so insufferable because everything in this country is literally telling her to start a family and then destroy it immediately. And unless you've been living under a bridge, if you're a man, you're going to fall for it. But you have to know better. Now, when they abolish child support and alimony, the marriage rates are going to go through the roof, and people are going to start having kids like there's no tomorrow. But right now, no, men and women are separating. Watching Puffy get embarrassed like this, it makes men with money just say, I don't even want to deal with women no more. I'd rather go to another country and date. I don't want to deal with American women anymore because they can just take me to court, make up a story, and people are going to just believe it because they want to see me lose money, because they're jealous of me, because they envy me. It's sad the times we're living in, but this is where we are right now. This is where we are. I was also going to talk about this whole Chris Brown situation. Very sad. Tell me about Chris Brown in jail in the UK. Right now, Chris Brown, the British are smart. They have had issues with famous foreigners coming into the UK, committing crimes, breaking laws, leaving, and just never coming back. So they can't extradite them depending on what countries they're from. So they have to set a trap. So what they did this time was they let him get booked for a huge concert in the city of Manchester. Now, allegedly 2 years ago in Manchester, Chris Brown apparently got into a fight with a a 67-year-old man. 67 years old, and he hit him with a allegedly not Chris Brown's entourage, which is what I was trying to read, but they're saying that Brown himself hit a music producer, an African music producer, by the name of Abe Dwa, with a bottle, a Don Julio bottle, and then I guess him and his entourage started punching and kicking him. The man was 67 years old, so he's already an elderly person. He required extensive surgery and had everlasting injuries to his knees, his back. But anyway, after that, he filed a lawsuit against Chris Brown as well. So he has an assault charge. It's called GBH in the UK, which stands for great bodily harm. So they have different abbreviations than in the US. So he sued him, and no one from Chris Brown's legal team showed up to court. Nobody showed up to represent him. They didn't hire a lawyer in the UK to represent him and show up and deny the charges or to at least appear. So what they did was they gave him a default judgment of 16 million pounds. 16 million was the default judgment, which is crazy. But that's what happens when you don't go to court. It just happened with another rapper in the United States a few years ago, and he's actually losing his house because of it. The Game. He had a sexual assault accusation. He didn't show up to court when she was suing him, so he won. She won, and now they're she is referring to Tamika Allen. Okay, yeah. So, but anyway, what they did in the UK was they set a trap. They let him come to the country. They didn't deny his visa. They did not stop him at customs. And they didn't make it a huge deal by putting out a warrant for his arrest. They waited until he got back into the country. He applied for a work visa. It was granted. Then they let him schedule his appearance in Manchester, which is where the crime happened. And when he went to show up in Manchester, as soon as he got into the city, they arrested him. And he's currently in jail right now, waiting to go to court about these charges. But for a GBH with those types of injuries, they're looking at life in prison. That's the kind of damage he did to this person with their, you hit him. I mean, a Don Julio bottle is a pretty solid piece of material. It's not going to just break when you hit a man in the head with it. It's like a brick. So that's what we know about it. The legal situation has cast uncertainty on his upcoming Breezy Bowl tour, where he was actually going on a world tour. And it's a little bit more difficult because of Brexit. The UK has kind of separated itself now from the EU. So it's not like we necessarily have a super great relationship right now with them. We just put tariffs on them, and we're not necessarily rocking with Europe. We, in our best interest, we're rocking now more with Russia, which we should be, because compared to Russia, Europe is a leech that's very weak that we have to subsidize, but they don't listen and they pretend that they're strong, but they are not. Without us, they are nothing. There is no NATO or EU without the United States. So for them to pretend that we're equals, it just doesn't make sense. So we don't really have a lot of pull in Manchester or in the UK right now. And they were saying, well, he needs to ask Donald Trump to help him. But why the fuck would Donald Trump help him? Did Chris Brown support Trump openly? No, he did not. He supported Kamala Harris, I believe. So-called Kamala. The black community as a whole stabbed Trump in the back and turned on him in the 2020 election. So he doesn't owe the black community anything. And it's amazing. I don't really see Trump going out of his way. I remember him pandering to the black community in 2017, 18, 19. And even he came up with something called the Platinum Plan. He met with Ice Cube and he invited all these black men and black people to the towers, trying to do what he could to help black people. And they didn't give a damn. They said, actually, you're offering us money, but Biden is offering us nothing. But we're going to still support Biden because, he's a Democrat, and they just didn't care about Trump. So I'm glad I don't see Trump offering anything to the black community right. I don't see them, so I don't see him going out of his way to try to, he freed Kodak Black. He got other people out of jail in situations, and everybody just takes them for granted. We have bigger fish to fry. What's going on with Chris Brown is not necessarily important. It's not going to help the country. Chris Brown is self-serving. So though I love his music, it's not necessarily our concern to really get involved on a political level, at least. He's kind of on his own. Your representatives, you're a man of means. You should have had somebody that could go and show up to court. Somebody should have went and shown up to court to represent you. You guys shouldn't have just let this. I mean, it's the UK. It's not just it's not Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan. This is actually a country that you are going to be going to do business. It's a hub for Europe. It's not just some off-brand place. Somebody should have known that there was a pending lawsuit with a court date against you for an assault. You should have made arrangements to get this handled. This is not now, let me call Trump and ask the administration to come clean up my mess. Even though I don't do nothing for Trump, I didn't support Trump, and I was actually supporting the person that was against Trump. It's not our responsibility to save your life and make sure you're out of prison. You got yourself in that situation. You kind of got to get yourself out. And again, the reason they're going to believe it about Chris Brown is because he has a history of violence because of the Rihanna incident that he doesn't want to talk about still to this day. And him not showing up to court means he has a default judgment naturally. But now he has to he's going to be, I don't think they're going to, because it's a flight risk. I don't see them even letting Chris Brown out of jail, because they know once he's out, he's not going to just stay in the UK. He's going on tour. So he's definitely 100% a flight risk. I mean, hopefully they'll give him a bond, but if he's able to leave the country, I don't think he's ever coming back. I mean, I don't think he is. I mean, I'm pretty sure he can do just fine by just avoiding the UK. But I don't know how the warrants are going to work because of Brexit. I don't know if a warrant in the UK means that Scotland Yard is going to try to pick you up if you're performing in Germany or in Paris or, in somewhere else. I'm not sure how that's going to work. So they might just hold him in jail until his trial starts. And in the UK, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's not like the US. So it's not like you're going to get an initial bond hearing and then they're going to set the bond and then you get out. In this situation, it's going to be a little bit different. And I do have more details that I'll go over. I'm doing another live later on tonight. I'm supposed to have a guest. Well, we'll see. And they're going to have, and they're actually in the UK, so they have more insight into what's happening and what they've been seeing on the news over there. But either way, I'm going to play Sky News because they did a story about it already, but they're out of Australia. But they're still Commonwealth under the crown, just like Canada. So their news is going to be reflective of the UK news as well. So we're going to talk about that, and probably like around 6 o'clock. I just wanted to give it more time because actually he goes to court. I thought he will. Is it today or tomorrow he goes to court? Because I got this news initially yesterday and he was supposed to go to the court the next day. So he might have already went to court today. Let's see here. The 16th. So that's today. So his next court appearance is, wait a minute. His arrest, Brown appeared at Manchester Magistrate Court on May 16th. The judge denied him bail due to the severity of the charges, ordering him to remain in custody. Oh shit! Does this just happen about? This is 2-hour-old news. So this is brand spank. This is breaking news. He went to court today for a bond hearing, and he was denied. This just happened. The judge just denied Chris Brown's bail, so now he's going to have to remain in custody until his next court appearance, which is, holy shit, a month from now. Oh, wow. June 13th is going to be his next court date. So he's going to be in jail for at least a month. And then on June 13th, I'm sure they're not going to trial. And I mean, I don't know if they're going to instruct him to plea. I'm not sure if they even take pleas. I got to look that up on how that works when you're in the UK, but wow. Wow. I was not expecting, I thought that was a possibility, but yeah, not having bond and you're in a foreign country, at least it's England and he speaks English and his law speaks English. It's not like Andrew Tate where he's in Romania where he doesn't speak the language and neither does his legal team from the United States. So everybody's just looking crazy trying to figure out which way is up. At least it could be worse. So at least it's not that. So Jesus Christ, I did not know. I did not know that they had already. Wow, man, that sucks for Chris Brown, bro. He's been making amazing music. He's been staying out of trouble, but and apparently this man's injuries were extensive. There were witnesses, and I mean, this 2023, so there's cameras everywhere, and I don't think they would just pretend that he did these things and they just completely lying on him. I mean, especially he's an American. You know, you can't just. You know, they know it's going to be hard to convict him. They don't want to seem biased, especially they're so worried about being racist in the UK nowadays. I don't think they would just make all this up. And I would hope he wouldn't be dumb enough to actually assault somebody, an older man, or you let your temper get the best of you, or no matter what someone says. That's why you got to have people around you to keep you separated from the public. And if you have someone that you're going to have an altercation with, someone else needs to have the altercation and not you yourself. He put himself in harm's way. And it's like, for what? Now you're going to sit in jail in another country. So what tour dates? Let's see here. Chris Brown tour dates for the rest of May and June. Let's see here. What are Chris Brown's tour dates in world tour in May and June 2023? I mean 2025. Let's see what he's missing out on. This has got to be a lot of money he's going to be missing out on too by not being able to show up to perform, which is crazy. I mean, definitely hitting a guy. And then it's like, why hit him with a weapon? That's a bottle. Hit him, punch him if you need to hit him, if you need to strike him at all, but hopefully you don't need to. So yeah, this is oh man, this is a lot of money. So they had him scheduled for June 8th, June 11th, and this is in Germany, June, and then they had him in the UK, the 13th, I mean the 15th of June, 16th, 19th, 21st. So I guess they're already trying to reschedule and push back his dates. So I guess these were the dates he was going to do this month in the UK. So I guess he was supposed to do Manchester today or yesterday, and on his way to the concert, he's they locked him up. So I guess they pushed the UK dates, which were all going to be in May. They pushed them to June. So hopefully these are just delays and they're not being. Yeah, hopefully they're just delays and they're not just fully canceled, because that's going to suck. I don't know when the last time he did a world tour, but it's crazy. Wow. Man, that sucks for Chris Brown. Yeah, do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video if you can. Follow me on YouTube, either Right Wing Rico or my other page, which is The Single Boyfriend. That's my brand. You know, because I do comedy, but I do a lot of commentary like on news, and I go over, I do streaming. So, you know, I'm streaming about different news topics from a right-wing perspective. Like I said, I don't really have very many liberal views about any of this stuff. So, but yeah, please follow me, like, subscribe. And if you have comments or anything, you know, leave them. If you want to come on as a guest, send me an email, thesingleBoyfriendRico@gmail.com, and I'll invite you on and we can set this up. Let's see here. A lot of the viewers right now are on they're all on. A lot of you guys are on Twitter, on X. So the Club Rico podcast and the Single Hubby. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching. But if you can, please, Right Wing Rico on YouTube or the Single Boyfriend on YouTube. Subscribe to my page so you can keep up with my content. I have some other videos that I've done over the past few days that have been kind of popular. So hopefully you guys can check those out too. But, you know, again, we'll go back to this story. even the AI is saying that basically Diddy is Cassie's victim. If the computer is saying there's no mention, there's nothing, there's no there's nothing suggesting abuse or trauma in any of the messages. So there's really just, her words from today are not the words from years ago when it happened. So she's choosing to change her story after the fact. And even the computer knows that it's bullshit. And I guess we should listen to the computer. Maybe in the future, maybe in the near future, we're going to get to a point where it's going to be an AI that's going to adjudicate cases. Because an AI can be impartial, an AI can be unbiased, an AI can be unemotional. You're just going to have to go based on the facts. Based on the facts, he did not sex traffic this woman. He did not rape this woman. And he did not, and there is no racketeering with the proceeds from her being trafficked. Like, I still don't understand how they were trying to tie that together by talking about he had a Twizzler dick. What does his dick twizzling and being twisted up have to do? I mean, I don't even want to talk about Diddy's dick. Pause, man. No Diddy. But it's just that none of this stuff has anything to do with what he's being charged with. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. And even the computer, after the AI read through the article, there's nothing consistent here with somebody being traumatized or hurt or any kind of trauma or any kind of rape. The texts are not consistent with somebody who was just assaulted. According to the defense's line of questioning, there is nothing here. Nothing. But if there's nothing here and they still brought this person to a trial where they got to spend millions of dollars on a defense, then what will they be able to do to a regular person who does not have the same resources? Well, that means you're going to jail because you don't have money. Not because you're not guilty, but because you don't have enough money to get someone to speak on your behalf to explain how you're not guilty. Even with all the evidence, basically Puffy could have just had a public defender. And with this amount of evidence, the public defender should have been able to get this case thrown out or settled within the first day. This shouldn't even go on for 2 weeks. I don't even know if I want to go on for hearing 2 more weeks of bitter people who used to work for him that said he was an asshole. He used to throw fits and yell and scream. And one time he brushed against me in an elevator. What the fuck does that have to do with trafficking, transportation for sex, or racketeering? They're talking about Don Richards. Let's see here. Did Don Richards testify today? Let's see. Let's go through the web. Let's see what Don Richards. Let's see if this, because I know she was supposed to, and that's why I put that in the title. As of today, Don Richards is not testified in the Sean. Okay. She's seen arriving at the courthouse earlier in the day and is expected to take the stand soon, following the conclusion of Cassie Ventura's testimony and ongoing testimony of Special Agent Yasin Binda and the Department of Homeland Security's Human Traffic Unit. Oh my fucking God. These women are way too old to be even accused of being human trafficked. These women are washed up. They've all hit the wall. These are all old women. So now, because there's no one else trying to give them money to be with them, and there's no one else willing to pay all this money and take them on trips just so they can have sex with them, now they want to go back and say this person did something to me. Now, this was a woman that was a former member of a group that Diddy had named Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money. And she had filed a lawsuit against him magically after all this stuff came out with Cassie last year, September 2024, alleging sexual assault, physical abuse, and false imprisonment during her time working with him. But all of this is outside the statute of limitations, so she went civil. That means there is no actual crime. It's just her making up some stories so she can have access to his resources. Her anticipated testimony is expected to support the prosecution's case by providing firsthand accounts of Combs' alleged abusive behavior, which can basically mean anything. verbal, mental, physical. Basically, once you hit the wall, every ex or every man with money you ever met, you feel like did something to you, and that's why you're single. That's why you're in your situation, because you've been destroyed by men mentally over the years, and blah blah blah. No, the whole notion of having accountability as a woman just goes right out the window when it comes to somebody who has money and you want access to it. See, if this was a divorce trial, all she had to do is just say this: she's getting whatever she wants. But he never married her, and he likely never had sex with her. She definitely doesn't have any kids by Diddy. So she has to do what, audience? Ladies and gentlemen, what does she have to do? Accuse him of assault. There you go. There you go. Let's see here. Yeah, I was going to see if there's any. Let's see here. People are leaving comments. Check the comments out. Yeah, hundreds of people, which is good. Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about this. Well, we're on X, so we can talk about it, but we're on YouTube, so we can't talk about it. But if you know, then you know. Another actor, it's the same thing that's going on in LA. Because remember what everybody had to do in LA if you wanted to be an actor back in 2021. They had requirements for you to audition or for you to, to be in the studios to film. You had to do something, a medical procedure. And I'm watching everybody I know back in California just fly away in like dust in the wind. But a lot of these other people, they're still here. They're going through other stuff. So I don't know which worse, being accused, end up like Diddy or end up like the actor from The Walking Dead, Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good for people in California, just all around. So she's gonna testify after. Who are the other victims in the Diddy case? Who are the other victims in the Diddy case? Now, I know that victim number 3 has disappeared. So they're not going to show up in court. We don't know where they are. We don't know who they are, but we know they are yet to be named. So there's 4. So these are witnesses. Let's see here. Publicly claimed the new accusers. Jane and Mia are the pseudonyms for the 2 women expected to testify anonymously in the federal trial. Jane alleges she was coerced into unprotected sex and subject to violent abuse in 2020 relationship with Combs. Mia, a former personal assistant, claims she was forced and these people call the police about everything every day when it happens, but magically nobody wanted to go. Okay, the way it works is when this happens to you, let's see here. When are you supposed to get a rape kit? I'm curious about this. Let's see what the computer says. A kit, also known as a SAE forensic exam, should be done as soon as possible after an assault takes place. An ideal time frame within 72 hours or 3 days is best for collecting the most viable evidence. Some jurisdictions extend it 5 to 7 days. Go to a hospital emergency room, ideally for a sane SA nurse examiner or a safe place, which is a SA forensic examiner team. You can also call a crisis center for help. Why didn't any of these people do that? Not Cassie, not Don Richards, not Aubrey O'Day, not Thalia Graves, not Little Rod, not Jane or Mia ever went to get one of these. Now, when you get one of these, automatically, no, you can get a kit without filing a police report. The evidence can be stored while you decide whether to pursue legal action. Why would you have to decide that if a crime was committed against you? I would assume it would just be automatic. If you accuse somebody of doing something, why would you not immediately go to a hospital or go to the police? If you don't want to go to the police because you live by the black code and you don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to be a snitch, don't snitch. You can anonymous, you can go get a rape kit and be anonymous. It says it right here. You don't even have to report it. But why? But without a kit or report, how are you able to accuse this man of something years later? And how does that make sense? None of these women lived with him. So it's not like he was holding them hostage and they're scared to come home. They live in their own places. Thalia Graves is a person saying that she said in September 2024 that 23 years ago, 23. Do you know how many people are not even, bro, there are people that are listening to this right now that are not even 23 years old on earth. So even before you were born, there's people claiming that this happened back in 2001. I can't even remember 2001. Well, I was in high school or something. Like, it's crazy. 2001. But they never went to the police. They didn't go to a hospital. They didn't go to a doctor's office. Why not? If somebody did something bad to you, why wouldn't you at least go to the hospital to get checked out and make sure you're okay? Where's the evidence? See, that's the part about this that has to change in this country. Why are you able to make accusations against somebody when and then why is the burden of proof so low before you can publicly make these allegations against somebody? Why is it so low? No kit, no police report, no nothing. But years later, you can pop up and accuse anybody you see on TV of anything. Even if you guys had a consensual sexual encounter and he just doesn't call you no more the next day. So now 30 years later, 20 years later, you're basically saying something bad happened to you and you want to sue him because you can't charge him. It's well outside the statute of limitation, but not these ones. 2020 is not that long ago. Okay, can you prove it? Or will they just let you sit up there and talk to the jury, but you don't have to show any proof that you're not lying? You got any videos? You got any pictures? You got any text messages showing that me and him talked about this and he admitted that he did? Do you have anything? Have you ever met Puffy? You met Diddy before? You got any proof you ever met him? You got a picture, video, you got a hug, anything? No DNA, no DNA on your clothes. Remember Monica Lewinsky? Even Bill Clinton left some DNA on her dress and she was able to prove, hey, this motherfucker skeeted me up. Here's the proof right here. You mean to tell me all this crazy stuff happened? You don't have no ripped clothes. You don't have any of his hair. You don't have any of his DNA on anything at all. And you didn't go get a kit so you can have a sample to prove that somebody did something to you. That's the problem with all this. There's Cassie is their number one witness. Matter of fact, this whole thing is based off of Cassie, and there was nothing there with her. Usually, they would want to save the best for last so that it's fresh in the mind during deliberation for the jury, in your closing arguments. But they're leading with her because that's all they have. And even her accusations of being raped are unsubstantiated by her own text and her own actions. If you were raped, you wouldn't be going back over there to see him. You wouldn't be asking him about his new girlfriend, and you wouldn't be sending him heart emojis. I don't want to hear it. I know these people are lying. I think this is disgusting that we're even still dealing with this. Unbelievable. Look, I'm going to be streaming all day. Again, follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, The Single Boyfriend, or, right here on X is fine too, but do me a favor, share this video. I'm really trying to get more, trying to expand. I want to get more followers so I can join these different programs that they have for monetization or whatever. And then that way I can, and I want to just do stories all day. I literally just sit here and go over different news articles and I just try to break them all down and just go over the details. There are some additional allegations, but these are all the civil lawsuits. They don't mean anything. There's a convicted felon that filed a lawsuit against Diddy while he's in jail, claiming that he was assaulted in 1997 A default judgment was initially awarded, but later overturned due to procedural issues. So a man that's in prison right now said that he was assaulted by Diddy in 1997. Does anybody here that's listening, does anybody remember where you were or what you were doing in 1997? I don't. I don't. So I don't know. This just shows you the bullshit that he's up against. And it's because he has money, and it keeps coming because you need money in this country. But a lot of people don't want to work to earn their own money. So they have to make up stories about somebody to extract it and take it away. My ex-girlfriend just got here with her mother. I'm going to go check on them and talk to them. That's why my dogs keep barking. And then I'll be back. I have some other stories I want to talk about. But do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. I would say I love you, but I just really, really like you guys a lot. I get nervous telling people I love them. So I really, really like you guys. So do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video, and I'll see you guys shortly. Oh, and please follow our sponsor. Use their, share their service. Our sponsor right now is cosigning.com. What they do is they'll help you match with a qualified cosigner. Say you're looking to move into your dream apartment, but your income's a little low or your credit's a little low, but you don't want to ask a friend or a family member to co-sign for you for your place, because if they say no, that could really strain your relationship. I know people personally, I know myself, I used this service back in 2015, and I've used it in 2019. I used it 2022 actually too. But there were times where I did ask someone and they said no to help me get a place, and they had credit, and wow, we're not really friends anymore. So, but I wish I had just known about cosigning.com and just reached out to them in the first place. And that way I don't have to ask anybody for a favor, and they'll match you with a qualified cosigner to help you get approved for the apartment of your dreams. So, shout out to our sponsor. That's our sponsor for today. So visit co-signing.com for more information. Thank you. And I'll see you guys again shortly. We'll be back in about 30 minutes.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.